Well, Thanksgiving has come and it is gone. I'm still full. It seems like here we are a week out and I'm still eating Thanksgiving leftovers. It's the one exception I tend to make throughout the year of having multiple leftovers of the same dish, and I'm all for it. I hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving from all of us here at Total Sports Talk. But now that Thanksgiving is over, yes, Christmas is next, but we have a big playoff race that is in the making happening right now in the NFL. And I think it's only right that we talk just about that. I'm your host, Matthew Raridan, and this is Total Sports Talk Beyond the Lights. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Total Sports Talk Beyond the Lights, where I'm your host, Matthew Raridan, and with me today is none other than Ed Smith.
Welcome, y'all.
And we also got Thaddeus Lloyd.
Hello.
Like I said, guys, Thanksgiving has come. It is gone until next year. And we had some great games take place on Thanksgiving and the Sunday after. And it's starting to kind of form how things are going to look in the playoffs. There are some very close races. There are some teams that are just really hot right now and some that are falling off. And what I really want to start on first here is the December power rankings via NFL.com, and we're going to get some reactions about that too. So let's start off with the list here. Coming in at number one is the Detroit Lions. I don't see any issues there whatsoever. Followed behind them is the Buffalo Bills at 2 and the Eagles at 3. Sure, we'll talk a little bit about that. And coming behind the Eagles is the Kansas City Chiefs at 4, and at 5 we got the Minnesota Vikings. We're starting to see a lot of the same teams each week right there. The orders have changed, but they tend to be pretty stagnant. And at 6, the Green Bay Packers, followed by the Pittsburgh Steelers at 7. And to round it out, we got the Ravens at 8, Chargers at 9, and the Denver Broncos at 10. Ed, first reaction to that.
Don't look now. Here comes Bo Nix. When it comes to program builders in the NFL, Sean Payton's got to be up there, right? Because not only did he resurrect the Cowboys offense when he was the offensive coordinator under Bill Parcells, he went into New Orleans and turned them into a perennial power with the Super Bowl championship in New Orleans, of all places. People nowadays don't seem to remember when they were the Aints, and they were that way for 30 years. They were the Aints of New Orleans. Sean Payton gets there, and they are year after year after year one of the most consistent teams in the NFL. He's took a couple of years off, didn't have Drew Brees. Everybody questioned, can he do it without Drew Brees? Because just like the whole Belichick and Brady thing, Belichick didn't seem to be able to do it without Brady, and Brady certainly did it without Belichick. Well, here we are with Sean Payton, and he's doing it with Bo Nix, a rookie quarterback, which, mind you, played 37 years in college. So there's that. But he's got a quarterback that he is trusting with the full scope of his offense and not just trying to overmanage it to get by. He is letting Bo Nix rip it, and that is impressive. And don't look now, here they come. And when I mean here they come, I mean you've got them just behind the Chargers right now, which Chargers are a surprise being in the top 10, but not really. They're not really where they want to be just yet. They've got maybe a year or so to go to get there. But my biggest takeaway is the Baltimore Ravens. Thaddeus, if you are really that good, why don't you play good? Right?
Yeah, it's very tricky because they're obviously a great team. Like that offense is historically good right now. And well, give me a sec. But what you're gonna do is they've had these really tough losses to these really great teams. You lost to the Chiefs. Um, you lost in the second week. I forgot who it was, but then you just recently lost to the Eagles, and it's especially hard. You know, this team. It's offensively, it's better than what it was last year, 100%. But the defense is looking like it's missing Mike McDonald. This defense has suffered terribly, and they're just not, even though they essentially have the same personnel, they're just not the same defense that they were last year. So that's a big step backwards for them in that department with a marginal gain in offense. So it has led to them losing a little bit more games than you would expect. If they had Mike McDonald, they might be undefeated this year. I am pretty sure about that. So it's I think they're aptly put there at number 8. As far as the list goes in total, I actually don't have a problem with it. You probably could switch around a couple teams. You could switch the Eagles or the Chiefs. You could switch um, maybe the Packers and the Steelers, but overall, I think this is actually a pretty good list so far for a top 10.
Yeah, and the Chargers, they are, they're like the little engine that could right now because they are dealing with injuries at the running back position, and they're still getting wins. I know that they had the loss to the Ravens just about 2 weeks ago, but the Chargers are showing that they are a different team under Jim Harbaugh. So I really like that. But yeah, the list itself, um, I don't have really much disagreements with. The Denver Broncos definitely deserve to be up there, and that was my biggest reaction to this list was seeing the Broncos there because what they've been doing this year. Sean Payton's got his guy. You just had to give him a couple years. I know things didn't work out with Russell Wilson. It's working out right now for my Steelers. So I'll take that. But he needed his guy, and Bo Nix sure seems to be his guy. So I love seeing that success there in Denver. Um, the Chiefs and Eagles, I don't even know if I'd switch them around. I think the Eagles are playing some of the best football right now. They just got an impressive road victory in Baltimore. Things are clicking good for them, but things are not clicking as well as they are in Detroit. They are clearly the best NFL team right now. We're going to talk about them later on their upcoming matchup, but uh, the Lions look to be a complete team from top to bottom, and that's even losing their star defensive end Aiden Hutchinson for the year. They didn't skip a beat at all, and that's what great teams do. It's the next man up mentality, and they did just that. They did make some trades to kind of fill in the gaps, but overall, the Detroit Lions have really resurrected their franchise these last couple years, and now fans are no longer wearing the brown paper bags, and they are excited and more enthusiastic to show their love for Detroit. So, Ed, quickly, any changes you would make at all?
I, the only change that I would consider making is swapping Green Bay, Minnesota, and Pittsburgh, just kind of tinkering with where that sits. But overall, I'm fairly happy with the list because even though the Chiefs are only have one loss, and that's to the Bills, they are not in that echelon where it's one versus two. They just aren't. They are just skimming by on just the craziest endings to a bunch of crazy games. And it's like they won't go away. They just won't die. And I can't conceivably put them ahead of Philadelphia right now with the way that offensive is clicking now that they realize that they are a running offense, just like some of these other teams that are on this list that we'll talk about here shortly.
And I'm sure some may argue the Texans belong in there. They're probably right at 11, but I would say that these are the top 10 teams in the NFL right now. So whether you may not agree with the order, I do agree that these are the top 10 teams in the NFL right now. So I'm all for it. I think they did a great job on this list, but we still got some football ahead of us. So this is subject to change. But I do want to talk about the playoff seedings right now because that is subject to change. But there are two teams that have already clinched it. So I think that is of note. And that is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, both being in the AFC right now. The Bills, they benefited from a very weak division. The Chiefs, they started out strong. They are not in a weak division, as we just mentioned two other teams in the AFC West in the top 10, and that's the Chargers and the Broncos. So the Chiefs, they got out to that hot start undefeated, and they have already clinched because of that. And the Bills, well, that's because they are in a very weak division. Any quick thoughts on that, Thaddeus, on those two teams? I mean, it was pretty obvious that the Chiefs and Bills would make the playoffs regardless.
Yeah, it was pretty clear cut. Everyone knew. Everyone at the beginning of the season was talking about the Chiefs as a three-peat champion. So obviously, you're looking at the Raiders, not very well run right now. Um, you got the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, but he needs another year at least to at least compete with record-wise with the Chiefs. And then you have the Broncos. Sean Payton, I've had some up and down mixed feelings about him the past couple of years. He's been doing good this year, but I think they also need another year. So this was probably the last. This might be the last season the Chiefs can easily locked up the AFC West. Next year, I think it's going to be much harder for him than it did this year. And then obviously the Bills. I picked the Jets to win the division, but that was because if I thought, Aaron Rodgers was going to go back to MVP form. And that's what I said. And it did not happen. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm wrong about that. So it did not happen. The Bills, Josh Allen have had the clamps on the AFC East for 4 years now. So it's no surprise that they won. I mean,
Yeah. Well, don't feel bad. Ed also picked the Jets too. So,
And I
uh,
also picked the Jaguars. What was I thinking?
oh, I
you
said
had
the
high
Jaguars are going to
hopes.
be last. I predicted that. I knew I was going to get that one right, but
Well, yeah. I mean, with the news with Trevor Lawrence out for the rest of the year, seems like everybody's joining the IR right now. So
it's
that,
injuries are
yeah,
stacking up for a lot of teams, including the Lions. The Lions are hurting on their defensive side of the ball as well. So
yeah. Well,
injuries have impacted this
that's
season.
the NFL for you. I mean, no one's ever playing 100% because you are getting banged up every single week, but there's only so much the body can take. And here we are, week 13, and yeah, there's no surprise to some injuries. We're going to talk about actually some of those injuries taking place on Thursday Night Football here in a bit. Um, Ed, like I said, the Chiefs Bills obvious were going to be there. The NFC though, how are things looking in the NFC right now? Because uh, it's kind of tough on 1 and 2.
Between the Lions and the Eagles, it is just about as thin of a margin as you'll see between the Bills and Chiefs. But the Lions are the clear cut favorite to take the 1 seed, get the bye, and rest up their two headed monster or whatever iteration of Sonic the Hedgehog they're calling their running backs this week. So I there's really not much debate on the 1 and 2 for the NFC. It's the other divisions. It's the NFC West and the NFC South. South again. That it's a toss up to see who actually wants it because there's really not been anybody that clearly has stepped in front of everybody else and said this is our division, we run things here.
Yeah, no, very true. And you have such a dominant division in the NFC North that you have obviously the Lions there, you have the Vikings and the Packers. The Vikings and Packers records are a lot better than the 3 and 4 seed, but that's just how the cookie crumbles with playoffs. I mean, with how the seeding works. So, but the Seahawks are playing some really good football right now. They started out hot, went on a pretty bad cold streak, but now they're starting to get that form again. Geno Smith is getting hot at the right time, and this is the Seahawks division pretty much to lose at this point because the Niners now with Christian McCaffrey and Jordan Mason heading to the IR, their season's all about pretty much done now. Sorry, Thaddeus. So it's the Cardinals that you pretty much have to deal with the Seahawks, but the way that the Seahawks are looking, they should take the NFC West. And lastly, the other surprising team that's on the list is the Washington Commanders because they went from also really bad to now here they are starting to look good with a rookie quarterback, and as of right now, they're in the playoffs. So you got to give props to Dan Quinn and that Washington Commanders staff because they got their guys right there in the playoffs as of right now. So things are subject to change. They really are because there's still a lot of division matchups to be played. Things will change, but we do know for certain Chiefs, Bills are in the playoffs.
What do you know? Dan Snyder was the problem in Washington. Eh,
Go figure. Yeah, that's kind of how things work. But yeah, that was the issue. They still have a lot of things to fix because I know every year they do those surveys, and Washington's one of the worst places for an away team to go to, from the locker rooms to just the whole atmosphere itself there. So, but they started out where they needed to the most, and that was Dan Snyder. You're out. So, um, yeah. So things are looking good for Washington, and now I hear the Redskin logo may be coming back. So things are looking extra good in Washington.
get back
um,
to the winning ways.
Yeah, yeah. I think Cleveland Indians need to do that too. Bring back the Chief Wahoo. Things may
Yes.
change. So, but Thaddeus, it's that time. How did we look last week, and how are things looking overall with our records?
Well, um, not too bad, except for me. Um, Matt, you had a 3-2 record, putting you at 33-31. Ed had a 4-1 week. The only game he got wrong was the Falcons winning, but that brings him at 45-23. And then I went 2-3, and that puts me at 37-28.
Yeah, every time we do the picks, and then Sunday comes before the games start, I'm like, can I? Is it too late to change? Something's telling me, and it's always those games too that it's like, man, I should have changed it. But you know, that's just how it works, and I'm okay with it. You kind of have to go with your gut. You have to look at key stats and facts, but sometimes those get thrown out the window. They really do. You look at the Bengals offense. I'm just using it as an example. You look at their offense. You want to pick them every week. You look at their defense. It's now you wonder why you didn't pick them every week. So they're a prime example of that. But gosh, man, I don't know about you guys, but I watched the Hard Knocks that came out with the AFC North. I had to. Come on, I'm a Steelers fan. I always love seeing the behind the scenes of any pro sport, but NFL especially, and when it's featuring my team. And the Bengals still have that charisma, they upbeat, but it is tough. It's tough watching them because they've got some of the very best talent in the whole world on their team, and here they are with a losing record, and their hopes of making a playoff run going to the Super Bowl have all but crumbled now. So it is tough seeing that. I know they're in my division, they're a rival, but I never like seeing a team like that does have the talent. You never want to see that go to waste. Joe Burrow is a generational talent. Jamar Chase could arguably, you could say, is the best receiver in the NFL. I know stats say that, but there's the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase debate that you hear almost on a daily basis. But Yeah, so that is thanks for our review there on our picks. But it's time to start doing these picks again and preview them. And I can't see a better way than starting with tonight's game, and that is the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Boy, it doesn't get better than this. It really doesn't, because these are two teams that do not like each other. It's a division matchup. It always brings the best out of you and sometimes the worst out of you. That's just how it works. Detroit's hot right now. It's a home game. The Packers, they know they need to win this one. It's a must-win game. At this point, every game's a must-win game. But Ed, I'm gonna actually turn this over to you because Green Bay's got some key injuries right now, and you care to share on who may or may not be playing in this game?
So Romeo Dobbs is still out um, with concussion. Christian Watson, he's always iffy. It
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Um, you know, and but the thing I want to focus more on is it's been a year since the Packers went into Detroit and embarrassed them on Thanksgiving Day. And that was the start of everybody noticing who Jordan Love really is. And that is something that has continued on. Went through the offseason, Jordan Love got his contract, and everything was great. But what we have seen so far this season is yes, Jordan Love is going to Jordan Love. However, these are both power running football teams. This is going to be one down low in the trenches. And like Jim Harbaugh says, an offensive lineman is a weapon. And that's exactly what Detroit has all across their front offensive line. It is just it's so difficult when you have that change of pace between David Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs, and then you've got and Panay Sewell just pulling around and murdering people, opening up holes for that. You know, that leads to getting that safety to creep down. What happens? Amon-Ra St. Brown, he goes nuts down the field. Jared Goff goes nuts, and he's been so accurate this year. It has been just it's it's been a pleasure to watch this type of offense with the rules as set as they are now, because this is about as physical as it gets, but it still has an art to it. And I've really enjoyed watching it. I don't like watching it against my Packers, but uh, nonetheless, the other factor that Detroit has this week that they didn't have last time they played, they've got Zadarius Smith on a trade after Aiden Hutchinson went down, and Zadarius hates the Packers after the way that they let him go after not playing for a year and a half. And he was injured a year and a half of his contract, and the Packers let him go. And he's like, well, you disrespected me. I'm like, you didn't play for a year and a half, dude. Well, uh, so it is going to come down, in my opinion, to can the Packers offensive line protect Jordan Love with those pass rushers? And can the Packers defense play center field with Jared Goff and have Xavier McKinney get another pick? He's already got 7 this year. Let's add a couple more. As a Packers fan, let's add a couple more. But overall, I just don't see the train stopping. It's the Lions train. The circus is going through town. It's a cart full of lions. They are just going to run over, and it'll be a closer game than what I'm describing here. But I still think the Lions win pretty handily. Uh, Probably in the 31-21 range, just because I don't see Detroit allowing Green Bay to get back into it with those running backs just bleeding the clock after they get up a couple scores.
Yeah, and You alluded to it, Ed. Jared Goff is right now the most accurate passer in the NFL. He's also one of the most clutch passers in the NFL right now. And to make matters worse for Green Bay, their top cornerback is going to be out. I'm pretty sure I saw Jair Alexander is out for the game. That just makes
Likewise.
that just makes it so much worse for Green Bay to try to keep up with that because you mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown. Well, I'm going to mention Jamison Williams. He's I think he's leading the NFL in yards after catch or average yards of catch because it's just he's a deep ball threat, but he's also very fast too. So things just aren't looking the best for Green Bay right now because of those reasons, and Detroit's just on fire. I don't see this being the embarrassment that Jordan Love handed to Detroit last year, but I just feel like Detroit's such a better team right now, and Jordan Love. Although I think Jordan Love can have a good game, they're just going to be on him. He's going to have to be moving around a lot, and fortunately, he may make a mistake or two. I do see Xavier McKinney having an interception this game, which is saying a lot considering it's the most accurate passer in the NFL, Jared Goff. But I just think Detroit is better. I'm just going to have to pick Detroit in this game as well, Ed. I do think points are going to be put up. I'm going to go with a 32-28 game, which makes things so tough because it's going to be around a 4-point game to where a field goal can't tie it. So Green Bay is going to have to try to drive it, and I think a mistake gets made, and because they know they need a touchdown. So I'm going to go 32-28. Thaddeus.
I am going in the opposite direction. I read the injury report, and it's very it's very interesting because you have the Packers. They're out their number one corner, Jair Alexander, and then they're out their backup. His backup, Corey Ballantyne, is also out. But
Mhm.
then on Detroit, you have their entire defensive line is out, except for Jair Alexander, Zadarius Smith. Their entire defensive line is out, and their tackle is also out, who is one of the Taylor Decker is one of the best tackles in the game. He's going to be out. This game is going to be the Lions passing like crazy, I believe, because the Packers defensive line is still, I believe, pretty stout against the run. And then you have the Packers who are going to be running the heck out of Josh Jacobs in this game. I believe this is going to be an extremely high scoring game. I'm going to go Packers 44-40 in this one. I just don't think either defense will be able to stop because you also have this. Now, it was kind of sad, but you had the Packers easily win against my Niners, and then they kind of had sort of a cakewalk against the Dolphins. Last week, well, you have the Lions playing back-to-back Thursday games, which is interesting, but they barely beat the Bears. So I think there's going to be a little bit more of that fatigue for the Lions. So I'm going to take the Packers here on this one.
You never know. It could be a toss-up just because it is a division game, but this could be a shootout like the Steelers and Bengals game was. No defense is optional today.
Well,
So
and just to clarify, both teams played last Thursday as well.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, Green Bay did play on Thursday. So yeah, good point, Ed. So yeah, they both got just a normal 7-day week bye versus a 10-day week bye, which would have helped a little bit more, kind of especially this time of the year. Try to rest up as much as you can. So I think it'll still be close, but it sounds like we all have it pretty close. But me and Ed got the Lions win. I hope for your sake, Ed, that we're wrong and your Packers win. Next game we got is the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. The Bills are coming off that exciting game against the Niners in the snow. Josh Allen, I've heard it every single day, had a passing and receiving touchdown in one play. It's monumental, you know. I feel like I can't turn on any sports show without hearing that. But Josh Allen's a phenomenal NFL athlete, quarterback. So him making a play like that doesn't surprise me. But all right, it's over with. No more talking about it. On to Rams week. The Rams are such a unpredictable team. They're at 6-6 right now. Uh, Sometimes I feel like they don't even belong being at 6-6. But when you have Puka Nakua, you've got Cooper Cup. If they could stay healthy, okay, that's a big if. Uh, they could be a very lethal team, especially with Matthew Stafford. But Buffalo has shown to be of the NFL's best. They are the elite right now. They are becoming one of these standards in the AFC. So this is going to be such an interesting game. However, though, this could be kind of like a track game as well. Something is telling me that the Rams are going to put up a decent fight in this game, that it's not going to be a cakewalk for Buffalo, even though it probably should. I think Buffalo wins this game, but I think that they will be skimming by like the Kansas City Chiefs do every single week. Give me Buffalo winning this game. Let's go 24-21. It's going to be a Josh Allen. It is going to drive the ball down for a Tyler Bass field goal to win the game for Buffalo. Thaddeus.
Yeah, this one's tricky because, like you said, the Rams are they're really inconsistent. They've kind of turned into the Cardinals, actually, in a way. You don't know, like they're going to lose against bad teams, but then they're going to win against good teams. Like you don't know what's going to happen. They won against the Saints last week, but gosh, I don't know. This Rams defense is actually really good. Like this, they've got this defensive line going. They're all early round picks, and the past 2 years, and they're really good. Jared Verse probably going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. But I just think, like you said, Josh Allen's going to eke out a play or two, and they're going to escape with a win on this one. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams pull out a win, but I just trust Josh Allen in clutch time more than I do Matthew Stafford at this point. So I'm also going to take the Bills by 3, 27-24.
Well, well, well. The This is a game that it's a vibe game. It's one of those. Do you feel the vibes of the LA Rams when they're at home versus Buffalo that's having to travel across the country after a game that you kind of knew they were going to win even before kickoff? Sorry, Thaddeus, but we all knew it. Uh, when there was such a snowstorm out there, what happens when there's no snow on the ground? What happens then? So it's one of those. Do we vibe with the Rams? Being at home and versus what Buffalo's having to go through to go play this game. Scratch all that. Buffalo is going to kill these guys. Josh Allen's going to have at least 2 rushing touchdowns. This is going to be ugly pretty early, and I'm thinking it's going to be in the 38-13 range.
Yeah, that's taking the total opposite approach from me and Thaddeus here. It could go in one or each other way, but yeah, traveling all the way to the West Coast, I mean, this is complete opposite for them, coming from Buffalo, New York, all the way down to LA. Uh, and sometimes that can play such a big key factor for teams. So, uh,
It's
I don't
easier
know.
to go west than it is to go east.
East. Yeah.
Just ask the Cardinals.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So, yep, the Rams, Buffalo. We'll see how that plays out, but I got Buffalo winning that game though still. So I think the 3 of us got Buffalo. So uh, on to the next game. It's a division game. That's the LA Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Chargers are on the road since the Rams are at home, but you know, the Chiefs have had the Chargers number for so long. Justin Herbert can't seem to get over that hump, really. They faced each other really early on in the year, just a little odd. But yeah, early on in the year, that's where Rashid Rice hurt his knee. And the Chiefs won that one. I want to say the Chargers will eventually get a win here, and they will. It's just not going to be this Sunday. It's not. The Chiefs are going to win this one. And one thing that Patrick Mahomes is preaching big right now to his team is we need to stop with these close wins. We need a blowout win for once. This could be the game. Although the Chargers do have a really great defense, it's one of the best in the league. They're going to struggle a little bit on offense because J.K. Dobbins went down. It's not going to be as balanced, and I think that they will struggle there because of that. They will put up points, but this could be the game that the Chiefs finally get that blowout. And they know the Chargers very well, although this is a different Chargers team now that Jim Harbaugh is there. He brought over Jesse Minter. He brought over the whole gang pretty much, but I'm going to have to give the Chiefs to this one at home. Arrowhead is such a tough place. I know it's not called that anymore, but I'm still going to call it that. Give me the Chiefs in this game. We're going to go 35-24 Chiefs. Ed?
I'm actually expecting the opposite here.
Okay.
Because, yes, the Chiefs played the Chargers early on when the Chargers were still trying to figure out what they were, who they were, how they were doing things, just trying to get into the Harbaugh mentality and the way that it is supposed to look. And after 12 games, they have an idea of what it's supposed to look like. And even with J.K. Dobbins being limited, and they've had a great contribution by Justin Herbert. They've had a tremendous contribution from Ladd McConkey. And I think that this is the game in which Kansas City is finally exposed for being that mediocre team that just knows how to get over. They're going to get down enough to where they have to come back, and it's going to be proven that they are not built to do that. So I'm going to have the Chargers on this game, and I'm going to have them 24-10.
You know how many times the Chargers have been leading the Chiefs pretty much going into the final drive, and every time it's going to Travis Kelce, and it still goes to him, and it's like they don't know how to cover him. And that's the one thing that worries me with the Chargers is every year it happens that they are playing one of their best games against the Chiefs, and the final drive, Mahomes to Kelce every
That was
single time.
Brandon Staley's defense. That's not Jim Harbaugh's.
Yeah, the defensive guru for sure. Yeah. So, Thaddeus, your thoughts on this game?
He's affecting my Niners right now, I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah.
I get the feeling it's going to be like the first game. That was actually the game where Rashee Rice got injured and was out for the year, and the Chiefs won by 7. I think they're going to win by 6, 20-14. It's just really annoying. Like the Chiefs just keep on eking out those wins. They couldn't get it done against the Bills, and I predicted that. I think they can beat everybody else. I like the J.K. Dobbins news. I think is pretty big. Gus Edwards is a good running back, but he's just not quite as good as Dobbins is, and they're going to have to try and get it through Justin Herbert. But I just don't think it'll be enough. The Chiefs are still going to score like 24 points a game, but they are getting Hollywood Brown back soon, I believe. Not for this game, but enjoy it while you can. Holding the Chiefs under 21 points. So, but I got them winning this game regardless.
Yeah, obviously me being a Duck fan, I love Justin Herbert, and I want him to do well in the NFL. He needs a game that can help kind of solidify his status. This would be a great game to do that. The Chiefs are still 11-1. They do know how to win games. I know that they have the one loss, but it's still the Chiefs. They are the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champs, and he needs a game like this to where he could really start showing and showcasing that he could be an elite quarterback in the NFL. His contract shows that he is, but he needs to back it up as well. This will be a great game to do that against. So I hope he does. I really hope he does because I want to see him succeed in the NFL, and I think he can now that Jim Harbaugh is there. So this could be the game where it's a good coming out party for him. Him and Lai McConkey do have something special going on. Great draft pickup. They needed a receiver after losing their two top receivers. So I'm all for it. Let's see if it continues to happen. But I just have the Chiefs winning this game until Justin Herbert and the Chargers can show me otherwise. Quickly, we do got a couple other games taking place. We got the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. Man, the only chance I think Atlanta has winning this game is if they bench Kirk Cousins and put in Michael Penix Jr. just to kind of throw things off. Yeah, it could very well happen after, was it 3 or 4 picks he had last game? It was a lot. So you can't have that happen again, Kurt. You really can't. Minnesota, they are surprisingly one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Things are working great for them with Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and of course Aaron Jones. Very balanced offensive attack there, and their defense is no slouch too. I'm just going to have to go with Minnesota at home in this game, beating Atlanta. Give me 27-17 Minnesota here, Ed.
I I'm as much as I want to back my boy Bijan Robinson, I have to go with Minnesota in this. I realize this is the battle for Kirk Cousins, which is that really a battle that you want to win? Uh,
The mid bowl.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to say Minnesota is going to win this game. The home field is part of it. The Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins is part of it. I just don't see a path for Atlanta to get over the hump of what Minnesota's been able to accomplish this year.
Thaddeus.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with Minnesota. It's just really frustrating because no matter what happens, it's like the rule of Kirk Cousins is he has to be exactly at 500 every single season. And what are they now? They're at 500 right now. So the only way they could win this game, like it could be close because I feel like the Chargers defense and the Vikings defense are kind of about the same. But then you have Kirk Cousins, and he's either going to throw, he threw 4 interceptions against Chargers defense, or but he could be confused again with the Vikings defense, like because Brian Flores is having these guys going. But right now the Vikings are just better. The only way the Falcons could win is if Kirk Cousins, has a good game, and Sam Darnold has a Sam Darnold game, like a little accident that he has every once in a while. But I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, I've just got the Vikings in this one, 21-17.
Yeah, we'll see if Kirk Cousins can get his revenge. I doubt he will. Last game, really quick, is the Seattle Seahawks at Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are at home; they are not on the road. That is a key factor there. But I talked about it earlier. Seattle's playing some of their best football right now, and it all started when Geno Smith, the Seahawks, came into San Francisco and beat the Niners on the road with a walk-off touchdown. That really fueled their momentum. It really did. I know the Niners aren't the best team right now, but it is a division game and it was a road game, and I think that's what Seattle needed because since then they have been looking great. I'm going to say that they're going to go on the road again, go into Arizona, and they're going to pull off this victory here against the Cardinals. We're going to go 17-13 because I feel like the offense just for both teams is not going to really be there. Thaddeus.
Here we go, NFC West. Well, now the chances of the Niners getting a wild card is out of the question now, but they still have a shot at the division, and it's extra better for us if more chaos ensues. And I think the Cardinals are going to win this one. The last game they played like 2 or 3 weeks ago was really bad because Kyler threw that pick 6, and that was basically the difference in the game. And the Seahawks, now they are in a winning streak, However, that's what happened earlier in the season. They won their first 3 games, then they lost their next 4 games. Now they've won their next 3 games. I think they're going to go on another losing streak again. The Cardinals are also streaky. They barely lost to the Vikings. They had a lead in that, blew that away. I don't know if they're going to blow it again. So I'm going to expect the Cardinals to win this one at home. Let's say like 24-14, I'd say. It's just to see it, both these teams are super streaky, and it's really frustrating. You don't know which team you're going to get.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the better for us. But this NFC West is absolutely hilarious, I think, in the best possible way, because each of these teams has at least 5 wins. They're not like their entire trash. But it's just really funny. And it'll be even funnier if the Cardinals win, because no one's really going to have a good lead into the division after this game.
Ed?
Well, who has the best home record in the NFC West? That would be the Cardinals. And there's a reason. Kyler Murray plays so much better in the desert than he does anyplace else at this point. So I'm going to take the Cardinals. There's no reason not to, in my opinion, because as you said, Thaddeus, these two teams are streaky. Well, good streaks start with good home wins. And Arizona, I think, is going to start this with winning at home. And quite honestly, I think they may have the best overall shot of winning the division in front of everybody else.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed last week is we got to see Marvin Harrison get a touchdown. He started off pretty good this year, and things kind of slowed down for a bit. We know Marvin Harrison Jr. is a stud at the wide receiver position. It's only time will show just how great he's going to be in the NFL, and just giving him more time. So that could be that connection that we've all been wanting to see, is that Kyler to Marvin Harrison Jr. connection, because lately it's been Trey McBride, who's one of the top tight ends in the NFL. So uh, it's going to be fun because it is a divisional game. So I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to this. So we got some great games taking place this weekend. So be sure to be tuned. Thaddeus?
Yeah, and then just one last point. I just think it's we were talking about, the Bucks and the Falcons. I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see the divisions. Who's going to win the division of the NFC South and NFC West? Because you got the NFC South. The Falcons won both their games against the Bucks. However, the Bucks have been way hotter. Baker Mayfield is playing like a top 10 QB this year. It's going to be interesting to see who finalizes with that. And then the NFC West, all 4 teams still are within 2 games of each other, which is crazy to think. It's kind of like what the NFC North used to be before the Bears started falling off. And it's just going to be real interesting to see, because I still, I'm kind of a diehard fan. I still believe in my Niners. They got a tough schedule, but I believe in culture, I guess. They still have a shot. The Rams still have a shot. Sean McVay's a phenomenal coach. The Seahawks can win it because their offense, when it's clicking, and that defense has gotten better over the season. When the offense is clicking, it can click. And then the Cardinals, also that offense can click, and that defense has also gotten way better. However, I would agree with you, though. I do think the Cardinals have the easiest schedule, because the Seahawks are playing like the Bears. I forgot who they're also playing. Who are they playing? They're playing the Packers and the Vikings, while the Cardinals are playing the Patriots and the Panthers. So
Yeah.
it looks like this might be, if the Cardinals win, especially this coming Sunday, it might be their division to lose. But who knows what's going to happen? We still have a couple weeks left in this regular season. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to see who's going to win these divisions at the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because the Falcons do hold that tiebreaker against the Buccaneers. So that's why right now, even though they both bolster the same record, the Falcons do have the NFC South as of right now. So that could change, and that's why this is such a pivotal matchup for the Cardinals to win, because the Seahawks are 1-0 on them right now. So those tiebreakers could very well decide both those divisions. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for our next episode of our college football Saturday special. It is conference championship weekend, so we will be talking about that on Saturday. So make sure you tune in for that. Please hit that like and subscribe button, share these videos, and let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. We'd love to hear your predictions on the NFL this week, and let us know what you're looking forward to on conference championship weekend. There are some big time games out there. But until next time, guys, we are rounding third and we are headed for home.